Go for it.
This is Walker Brandt from walkerbrandt.com, and you're listening to Vroom Vroom Veer with Jeff Smith. I'm reminding you to make yourself laugh today, to see the humor in who you are before you look at anyone else and enjoy making them laugh.
That's awesome. It takes zero effort for me to make myself laugh at me, but hey, perfect. I do it all the time.
It's true. It's true. I mean,
Yeah.
I find that if I start myself off looking in the mirror and finding something to either pick on myself and laugh about it,
You're right.
because that happens, it's like, oh, geez, where did that come from? And it's like,
Right. Oh,
all right,
usually
well.
with me, it's like, I'm so sick of me. Just get over me. Yeah. Anyway, so let me hit stop real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Are you ready to thoughtfully steer away from your revved up, frenzied, and far too often scripted life? Then welcome to Vroom Vroom Veer with Jeff Smith, where he guides you down the road differently traveled by sharing unique experiences with guests who have managed to shift away from a life stuck on cruise control and veered their way into a more authentic and fulfilling one in all sorts of interesting and kind of remarkable ways. Get ready to Vroom Vroom Veer with your differently traveled road chauffeur, Jeff Smith.
John Diggs, thank you so much for being on Vroom Vroom Bear and welcome to the show. How's it going?
Hey, man. Thanks for having me, man. This is awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks again.
Hey, thanks for being here. So you are at johndiggs.com. Thanks for having an easy name and an easy website. So talk a little bit about what you're most excited about at johndiggs.com today.
Wow, there's so many good things going on right now. I guess I will start with my new book that I just released. It's called Big Play Power.
Okay.
It's designed to show student athletes how to make big plays on and off the field using mind maps.
Okay.
Yeah, and that complements my book that I published in November called Mappineers Your College Years. And that's strictly for students, college students, higher education students, showing them how to mind map to crush college,
Right.
to better note take, to get clear on themselves. And basically all of my themes are mind map driven. But
Right.
those are the two biggest. And that's outside of my online community called the Ville. It's called
I
Mappineerville.com.
like it.
And that's, yes, thank you. Yeah, I created this community as a hub for people who really want to embrace mind mapping on a daily activity. I have a unique approach to how to use mind mapping. Most
Right.
people that hear of mind mapping or know of mind mapping think of it as a brainstorming, note-taking, project management kind of tool. But
Okay.
in my 15 years of being in the mind mapping world worldwide, I'm finding that I'm the only one that actually uses it as a personal development tool.
Wow. Okay.
I coined the phrase or the title "Mappineering"
I like it.
instead of mind mapping. Engineering,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
engineering, beautiful
Making up
mind
words
map.
is like one thing I love to do. So good on you.
Yeah. So
All
yeah,
words are made up. So go ahead and take license.
exactly. I just wanted to identify my style of mind mapping.
Well,
I know there's
yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
of people that uses it for various reasons and different
Right.
purposes, but mine is strictly just to help you love and live your best life. So
So
that's Mappineering.
as you're talking about mind mapping, right? As I was looking at your stuff, I was like, I remember mind mapping. I
Yeah.
ran into mind mapping a gajillion years ago.
Yeah.
And what I learned, right? I was like, wow, these ideas are great, but I would have to like make a gajillion tools. Like, oh yeah, how can I like make this into a thing that I can easily use on a regular basis? Oh, I'd have to learn to program or, write a book or I mean,
Yeah,
just the fundamentals
actually,
of mind mapping,
yeah, I mean that's a good perspective. Most people have that, not really understanding that to mind map, all you really need is just a piece of paper and a pen.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah, and
Yeah. Yeah.
you'll take that piece of paper, put it in a landscape form,
All right.
put right in the middle of that piece of paper, put whatever you're thinking about mind mapping about.
Okay.
Whether that's a decision, of trying to problem solve, trying to goal set, deal with issues in your past, whatever that is, put it in the middle, and now you just start putting keywords and phrases all around that
Ah,
circle.
yeah. Yeah.
And I help a lot of my students with problem solving with mind mapping, where they actually put the name of the problem right in the middle, and we put who, what, when, where, why, and how
I
And we
like it.
just brainstorm each one of those nodes and topics to really get a clearer perspective of what really is the problem.
Yeah,
And
I get it.
that's what I've been finding most attractive and most interesting with mind mapping, because it allows you to take whatever's in your mind and actually put it in a paper form. And as one snapshot, you can actually see what you're
Right.
thinking.
Right.
You
Right.
know,
No,
you
I
can
get it.
actually really get clear
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
what's, yeah, all of the particulars of whatever it is you're considering.
Yeah. 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 Excellent. See, so,
So you don't need to program the mind map.
and John has done all the work for you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I do a lot of the training, try to show people how to get the most out of Mappineering, as
Yeah,
possible.
I get it. So it sounds like you're having fun and
I'm having a blast,
yeah.
when I help people, I had a client come to me and with a son that was really struggling, trying to get clear on his self and his life. He was kind of out of sorts, and had a couple of sessions with me. We really mind mapped his whole life out. So now he saw
Wow.
everything that's most important to him in one snapshot.
Right.
And it kind of liberated him. It also empowered him because it gave him clarity on who he intends to be in his life. So he has more boundaries to withstand peer pressure at school and,
Right. We all need
all
that.
that
Yeah.
bullying stuff he was dealing with. So now he's more self-aware by
Right.
way of what I call the I am mind map process that I took him through. So it's really warms my heart to see a kid all mixed up and or even
Yeah.
an adult just all mixed up and frustrated and angry, and after a few sessions they kind of get it out of their head, seeing on paper, and it's like this calming
Yeah. The-
kind of sense. And that jazzes me all the time.
there is something magic about somehow taking a thought that's bothering you and writing it down.
Yep.
Just that. I mean, mind mapping aside, just writing your problems down, huge.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
It's
like
big. It's almost like you're taking it out of yourself, first person, and
Right.
putting it in a third person. So
Yeah.
it's out there. So
New
it doesn't have
perspective
that
kind of idea.
emotional connection that's
Right.
driving people nuts all the time.
Right.
And
Right.
stir crazy mental health issues because it's all up in here just swirling around.
Right. Right.
Versus, you put it out in a map and you can kind of see the components of it. It's relieving to a lot of people to actually see
Yes.
what they're thinking about. Most people never think about what they're thinking about.
They think about it, but they don't think about it like with a level of awareness that you need to, like they worry about it, which is not what you want to do.
Do the opposite.
It's the opposite of that. Right.
Yep.
You just
Worrying
get
does not
serious
help
about
at
it.
all.
Right. Right.
Exactly.
So let's go back in time. This is Vroom Vroom Veer. Vroom Vroom Veer, we have to talk about vrooming and vrooming. That means that means vrooming means like, okay, things are going well and you're moving fast in one direction. How's that sound?
Yeah.
So you started playing football in college.
Yes.
So let's talk about you in college football. What was that like? Where'd you play? Washington State. Okay.
Yeah, go Cougs, go Cougs. Yeah, it was an amazing child dream that I realized playing college football. Born and raised in Pacoima, California, just outside of Los Angeles. I was really dreamed and was fascinated about playing college football. Not the pros. I think it was because my dad took me to like this Cleveland Browns Ram game, and it was in the middle of the day. It was hot. It was boring, and I was like, NFL, nah.
Really?
But then like a week or two later, he took me to a USC UCLA game.
Okay.
And the energy was wild, and I was like, that's what I want to play. So it was a dream come true for me to actually play for the Cougs and realize my dream. And it's funny, I was just talking to my nephew about that, who plays for Arizona State, that I remember one night in the game, it was on ESPN, which back in the late 80s, I mean, if you was on TV, it was like a really big deal. Back then there was only two channels or whatever.
Yeah. People nowadays, they don't know that, you couldn't stream from your house.
Exactly. But I was just saying that during this game, it was a nighttime game. It was homecoming. I think I was my junior year at Washington State. I was a starting free safety. And I remember being in a tunnel. And right when we go to run out on the field, I heard the band playing and the crowd roaring. And right at that moment, I just stopped and started bawling, started just straight crying and everything. Because it was at that moment I realized that dream. I was like, I'm living that dream.
I'm actually doing it.
Yeah, such an amazing experience, and I ended up
Right.
having a great game that game too, by the way.
I
Yeah, so
bet.
yeah, it was super great. But then from college, again, I got a chance to go play in the NFL and CFL for 5 years. Again, it wasn't really my passion anymore.
Okay.
Practice when practice started becoming work. Instead of going to
Yeah.
practice, we had to go to work. And,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, I
just
get it.
I just didn't have it. But I played as
Right.
long as I could to make as much money as I could. And
Yeah.
then the universe, as it always knows, works in mysterious ways.
Mm.
I banged my knee up pretty good in Canada and got two screws put in it, my
Oof.
right knee.
Ooh.
And doctor said I could have went back and played, but if I hit it or twisted it again, I would probably have to walk with a cane the rest of my life. So
Not worth
I
it.
took that as a hint and a half and move on. Yeah. So I was like, all right,
Yeah.
football, I love you. Thank
Yeah,
you for
yeah.
everything. But I'm on to my
I
next
would say be thankful that
project.
it was your knee, you know?
Right.
Like,
Right.
ugh. I
But yeah, after
remember,
being
yeah.
such a high, playing the game that I played,
Yeah.
started playing at 6 and 7 years old. So I'm 25, 26, almost 20 years of my life. I
Right.
was playing football. And when that ended, it was devastating.
I
It
bet.
was like my identity was
You
was
don't
was
know who you are without this job of
it was
football. Right.
tough. It was very,
Yeah.
very tough, but good thing that, before I played it down in football, professional football, I did get my California real estate license. So I knew
Good
I
for
was going to
you.
do something in real estate when it was over. In
Right.
fact, when I played with the Raiders the last 2 years in LA, 91, 92, I had listings when I was playing on the team. I did. I had
Nothing wrong with
listings.
that. Uh,
Yeah, I was showing homes and stuff, in
yeah.
between practices,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it was just something I knew I was going to do. So even though it was devastating that the game left me, it
Mm.
wasn't as bad as what I've seen other players, have to deal with, part of their identity
Yeah.
was gone. So I was able to parlay that into the mortgage industry and did pretty well in the mortgage industry in the 90s, opened up my own company in Southern California in
Wow.
2003 and was really I built probably the
And that was
largest.
boom time. Boom time.
Yeah. It was stated income days. I mean, it was crazy. I
Stated
mean, yeah, I
income.
was
I
living a
actually
millionaire.
bought my first house in 2003.
Oh, so I stated then.
Yeah, well, man, it was so weird. I mean,
So you,
it was like I knew nothing.
hmm
Knew nothing. This is what I
right,
knew. I
right.
felt dumb because so I was in England before
Okay.
I moved to LA, right?
Uh-huh.
And had I known, and nobody, I should have bought a house in England. Okay,
Got
so
it. Okay.
in England, you could get to England and buy a house, pay the mortgage for 3 years. That, oh, by the way, the government's going to pay that mortgage bill for you, right?
Wow.
Yeah, and then sell it, and the whole time you're there, they waive all the taxes, and there's no taxes on the sale.
Good Lord.
Yeah. So
This
there
is
were
in
like
England?
people going to the bank after 3 or 4 years and getting checks for 70,000 pounds for
Wow.
proceeds. Yeah, tax free. And I'm like, shoot, I'm
Lord.
like, what the hell? And I spent 3 years in shitty military housing and going,
Right.
and now I don't have 70,000 pounds. So I was committed when I moved to
Very,
LA.
very interesting.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things. It's like, I didn't know,
Right.
I mean,
Right.
I guess you could have theoretically got stuck with that house.
Yeah. It's so funny you say you didn't know because back in those days when I had my company, I had 19 loan officers, 3 processors, a
Right.
couple of receptionists. We were crushing it, 6-figure months for sure.
Nice.
It was really crazy. But I didn't know that what we were doing was going to lead to a collapse of everything.
No, right. Right. Nobody knew. I mean, you're following the rules. You're going by the book ish.
Hey, I'm selling product that they said I could sell.
That's
So,
right. That's
and
right.
got pretty good at it. Built
And
this
and the
large
people
company,
that
but
were in charge of like saying everything's okay said everything was okay.
yeah, so I ran with it. But then in
Right.
2007, Jeff, when the mortgage
Yeah. Yeah.
meltdown hit,
Right.
I mean, there again was another major problem that I had
Right.
to deal with in my life with losing every single thing I had. I mean, I was living a millionaire lifestyle for sure,
Right.
but houses foreclosed, cars repossessed.
Yikes.
I was forced. I mean, I lost my family, I lost my wife, I lost
Wow.
when I say everything, everything
Yeah, yeah.
that
You ended up
that
sleeping on mom's couch. So
and that's exactly what happened, and this kind of like begins the story of my TEDx talk that I did last year,
okay. Right.
yeah, when I took this dip, I moved into my mom's house, and all I took with me was some gym clothes, my bike, and this big ass box full of, and yeah, and it literally was this big ass box, and this box was full of all my motivational stuff that I accumulated over the years. I mean, books from
Okay.
Tony Robbins, Les
Right.
Brown, Think
Right.
and Grow Rich,
Yeah,
landmark
yeah.
education stuff, NLP
Ooh.
stuff. I mean, all
Yeah.
of the things that helped me grow my business was in that box. So I was going to my mom's, I knew I had to revisit that box
Mm.
to try to rebuild my life.
Wow.
And inside of that box was this book called Mind Mapping by
Okay.
Tony Buzan. And I think one of my colleagues might have gave it to me, but
Mm.
I never really read it or anything. But for
Right.
whatever reason, this reason, it kind of resonated with me this time. And I decided to mind map all of the contents of that big ass box. I didn't have anything
Wow.
else to do, so I was just like, I couldn't get a job.
I need a project.
Yeah, and Target refused my employment. I'd
Wow.
submitted applications with Target, and they said I was overqualified.
Yeah.
So they didn't give me the job.
And when you're a business owner, you don't get unemployment. There is no
Right.
unemployment for business owners.
Yeah,
Because you didn't really have a job.
yeah, it was super bad, and luckily, but it turned out to be a blessing in disguise
Totally.
because that was my first introduction to mind mapping,
Mm.
and the power of mind mapping when I started mind mapping all of those books. I
Right.
mean, How to Win Friends, Influence People, Think and Grow Rich, Positive Mindsets, The Alchemist. I mean, all of those books.
Good stuff.
It took me 3 months, almost every day
Wow.
of mind mapping. I had these big poster boards all over my
Okay.
mom's house, of
In
mind
mom's
maps.
basement on the couch
Yep,
with your
yep.
big
And it
ass
was,
box.
yeah, and mom was having fits because she would come home and see like 30, 40 of these poster boards all over her house and stuff like
Mm.
that. But it was the first eye-opening experience, Jeff, that I had to what mind mapping does.
Mm.
Because when I was reading those books or rereading those books, I wasn't just underlining,
Right.
certain things that stood out or highlighting certain things. No, with mind mapping, it caused me to do what is called like active learning. So I
Okay.
was actually reading it, trying to think of key words and phrases from that whatever I was reading to add to the mind map.
Right.
So
Okay.
it caused me to really resonate with the information to resonate with me more because I wasn't just mindlessly just reading. I was like, wait a minute, all right, what did he say and what key word can I take from this to put over here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of deal. And
Yeah.
in that process, it caused me to really get a deeper understanding of everything in that box, that big ass box. And it empowered me such that I was like, even though I had Jack, I didn't have nothing.
Mm. You had
I
negative
felt,
something. You had nothing. You had debt at that point.
yeah, it was bad. It
It
was
was
super
bad.
bad. My kids, I had 3 kids at the time, infant. Then they all moved to Arizona with my ex, and it was it
Wow.
was super bad. It was the lowest part of my life for sure.
Yeah.
But this mind mapping kind of, it did a couple things really quick. The first time, after about 90 days of, mind mapping all of those books, I started to see connections of what all of those people were essentially saying.
Okay.
I was like, I got the gist of what they were really saying, and it resonated on a deep level that the importance of life is just simply to love life.
I
That's
like
your
that. I
purpose.
like
It's
that.
just
Yeah. Yeah.
truly to love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All this stuff, you don't know how long you have.
Right.
You don't know, it's a short time that we're going to be here. So you should apply your most powerful emotion, love,
Mm.
to your most prized possession, which is life itself.
I like
And
it. Yes.
so that was a huge distinction for me. But then, I soon gravitated and migrated to, all right, now how do you do that? How
Right.
do you love
Right.
your life?
Right. Right.
And
Right.
that's where I started developing what is now known as my I am mind map, where I started to realize that I must get clear on who I am,
Mm.
what's most important to me, what my core values, what my beliefs are, as it relates to my life, to love my life. I
Mm.
mean, a lot of people, as I learned over the years, so many people are not in love with life and miserable, stressing, and all of this stuff. And it's
Right.
primarily because they have not defined and clarify what it is they want in life. So
That's true.
it just bouncing around. So I
Right.
developed this I am process, and it spent another 3
So
months.
where did the I am kind of come from? Because that's
Well,
I like I am. I mean, it's like a spiritual thing to say, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, back some time ago, I had one of my mentors, Dr. Ron Holman, who owned the largest privately owned mental health insurance company back in those days,
Oh
where
wow.
his company would be called when, there was a challenge with a CEO or a fight in a company or whatever, in big
Oh
companies,
right. Okay.
GM and all of these
They got
companies.
some money to spend on some mental health.
Yeah, and they used to
Yeah.
bring him and his people in to try to help get everybody back on track and and
Okay.
these kind of things. But when I first met this guy, I was studying NLP at the time, and nobody, it's 2001, 2002, Google wasn't around, and I was
Right.
just trying to find somebody locally that can help me understand neurolinguistic programming,
Right.
NLP, all the Tony Robbins stuff.
Yeah.
And he happened to be just right around the corner. But so when I went to this office, man, this guy, the assistant put me in his office and it looked like a museum, just talisman and art from all over the
Wow.
world, just a dynamic office. It should have been a museum. Kind of the other way it was. But I tell you, Jeff, this guy changed my life because in multiple ways, but this was the first time I met him. He came in his office, 6'4", bald head white dude with earrings and chains and rings on every
Wow.
finger. Just this
Wow.
dynamic, eclectic, just
Yeah.
abstract dude.
Yeah.
But he sat down and he said, he asked me one question for like 15, 20 minutes, would not deviate, asked me over and over again. And that question was, who are you? And I
Right.
was like, well, I'm John Diggs. He's like, is that all? It's like, no. He's like, well, who are you? I was like, well, I'm son of Betty and John. He's like, is that all? Then who are
Okay.
you? I mean, we did this exercise forever, and he's the one that got me clear on realizing, starting to get connected to my identity and how I identified myself, and that I
Right.
was so much more than what I identified myself. And he went on to teach me that I needed to get really clear on who I am. If I want to play the game of life, I need got to determine what my rules are.
Right.
And how do I win?
Right. How can you win when you don't know what game you're playing? Is
Exactly. And a lot of people, I'm finding, and I'm helping
Yeah.
with my I am system,
Uh-huh.
to get clear on, and this I am mind map, if you will.
Right.
It's really, as
So
I
what do
was
you
going
put in
through,
the middle of the I am map?
I just put I
I
am.
am? Okay.
Then I
Gotcha.
have 4 topics around that.
Okay.
I have 4 topics around that. The upper left corner of that topic is I am healthy.
Okay, good.
The lower right hand side is I am wealthy.
Okay.
I am successful, and I am happy. Those are the
Nice.
4 key things that I determine that
That's
would be
what you
most
want.
important to me.
Right. Those are the things that are most valuable for you to love
Right.
life, right? Okay.
Having health.
Yeah,
But then in that
gotta have
process,
health, right?
once I grappled with that, what mind mapping does, I had to take it a step deeper. And what does excellent health mean to me then? If you're healthy, what does that mean?
Right.
I determined it was I am healthy spiritually, physically, and mentally. Then when I looked at the wealth topic, I was like, well, what does this mean? Is it really just money?
Right.
Then I realized that no, it's not money.
Right.
Wealth really means an abundance of something. So I was
Right.
like, what
Okay.
I want a lot of in my life? And that's where I came in, and I want a lot of positive emotions.
Right.
I want a lot of specialized knowledge or skills.
Okay.
Then I want freedom, which includes financial freedom, time freedom.
Right.
But then when I moved to success, what do I want to be successful in? And I landed on, again, this is months of work, that I'm highlighting, but I landed on successful relationships,
Yes.
successful results,
Right.
and successful rewards.
Okay.
Then the last one was happy. And I was like, what do I need to do to be happy?
Happy is really like people don't even
Yeah.
know what the hell happy is.
Right.
It's like, what's fun,
But then I
What's
landed
happy?
on, again, after
That's a good one to
months
dig down
and
on.
hours
Yeah.
of intense mental grappling, what I determine happiness means for me is that when I think of my past, I need to feel blessed for my past, the goods and the
That's
bad.
good. Yeah.
Feel good, the goods and the bad.
Right.
At the same time, I need to feel grateful for my future, meaning all of the things that are coming to me,
Right.
goods or bad. And I need to have both of those in the present moment, right now.
Right.
Yeah. And I wrote a book on this too. It's called Blessed and Grateful. Yeah. And it shows people, it shows people how to mind map
Yeah.
to really get complete with some issues in their past that they probably haven't
Yeah,
let
it's
go.
huge.
That's
Huge.
causing them to suffer in the present
Yeah.
and not maximize the future.
Right.
But it also shows them how to goal set and get clear on what they want in the future, so they're not afraid of it, they're not scared of it. And then there's also showing some techniques on how to be really present in the moment with both of those experiences. And if we can achieve that, then we're truly in love with life. So that's my I am process that I share and I teach a lot of people. I got online courses, curriculums, and all that stuff to help people go through that whole process. So at the end, they're now looking at a snapshot of their life on one sheet of paper of everything that they just identified that is most important to them.
Right.
Which is, man, it's you talking about warm, fuzzy feelings in my heart. You know, when that aha moment hits.
No, I get it. Yeah,
my clients and students, they're like, I've never seen my life like this, you know? So,
I get it. Yeah. But you're very clear about, you're not just like sort of walking around in the dark, you know?
Right.
You're not like waiting for the next shoe to drop, right?
Exactly. And what I've been finding a couple things is that when you go through those vicissitudes, go through those downturns that life brings us all the time.
Right.
You know, you have more self-awareness and self-actualization to make adjustments sooner rather than later and minimize any suffering and minimize any delayed time.
You're talking about have you ever heard of the Buddhist idea of the second and the third arrow?
No. Please share.
So like you can't stop, like the Buddhist teachings will say you can't stop life from, you know, giving you some suffering, because that's part of what we're here doing, right?
Yin and yang, right?
You don't know if something's good unless you got a little bad, right? Is kind of what the Buddha was saying, right? But you don't have to make it, you don't have to pile on is the idea, right? So you can't eliminate the first arrow. Shit happens. Right? Shit happens. Right?
Going to happen.
But you can stop the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth. You don't have to do those. Right? And the more you get better at it, you know, that's what you're saying. When you find yourself, you know, lost in a dark tunnel, you're like, oh shit, I'm here again. But I'm okay. I'll figure this out.
I got a strategy and a plan.
Exactly.
You know, and a tool that can help me out. And that's I was talking to a lady this morning, you know, one of my clients, and she's having issues getting over her marriage that dissolved, and she's kind of a little frustrated. So we pulled out a mind map, and you know, we had a conversation. You know, I was like, was this the first time you were in love with anyone? She said, no, good, you know, and I said, well, you know, I'm sure you were in pain, you know, last time, you know, you got your heart broke, right? She was like, yeah. And I said, then over time, you know, what happened? You got over it, right? It's like, yeah. She was like, yeah. And I was like, well, you know, what really happened for you to get over it is that you changed your perception about what happened. You know, that divorce still exists. You know, that person still died. If it's a death or something, that person, that event doesn't change. But when you eventually get over something, you just change your perspective of that or your perception of that event. So my question to her and to everybody, if that's going to happen over time, why take so long? You know,
Don't wait. Don't wait. I agree.
Take 5 years to get over a relationship when you should. You know, you can do it in 5 months. You know,
you can do it quicker. Yes, you don't. You don't have to wait for it to happen naturally, as they say.
And
you can start working on it.
Awesome tool for that. Mind mapping is an awesome tool because it gives you greater perspectives about any event or any situation. So now you start to see different components, to where it lessens the sting and the pain of it to get people back to loving life again.
I just read this book, another book, not your book, so we won't talk about the book, but the idea was the same, right? It was, you know, find your biggest regret. So I had this big regret from my military days, right? And it said, like, write down what you regret and write down, like, okay, so, you know, you're human, right? You're allowed to make mistakes.
Don't beat yourself up.
Own the shit that you need to own. Right? Okay, I made that mistake. I screwed that up, right? And then, you know, I learned now that I should have done this, right? Oh my God. Like now, when I wake up at 3:00 thinking about that now, I feel the first arrow and go, yeah, but I'm human. And I learned from
Yeah,
it.
yeah, exactly. You survived it.
I did.
Whatever
I
it is,
did.
you got
Right.
better from it. You've grown from it.
Right.
You're a better person because of that darkness.
Right.
So, don't look back with so much negativity.
Yeah.
You live. You're still living.
You're still living. You're still breathing. Yes.
For sure.
And you didn't end up on mama's couch with a big ass box.
Exactly. On your mom's couch that you bought her.
Right. It seemed like mom had some good disposition. So maybe you were good to your mama. So she let you sleep on your on her couch.
Yeah.
So how
she
long
let
did you end up staying on that couch?
A total of 8 months, and that's what I was
That's not
saying in my
bad.
story.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
story is
Your
that I
TEDx.
spent the first 3 months mind mapping all of the contents of that book.
Right.
Then I spend the next 3 months getting clear on this I am mind map that we talked about.
Okay.
Then a colleague of mine told me about this job that was available. And I did this job before, software development, and I've since opened and been
Wow.
owning one of the top mortgage software developers. I've been one of the top ones in the country since 2010
My goodness.
because of this experience. But
Wait a minute. You
the lady,
program computers too?
yeah,
Now I'm
I do
getting a
lot
little
of
jealous.
code. Nice.
No, not really. I tried
Yeah.
to code back when I was like really young, and I don't like it. It's just
Yeah.
you have to have the personality to like coding. But yeah, impressive. Good for you.
Yeah, I did all of that, but that job that started all of that, a colleague called me and told me to come over there and interview, and I was going over there, and I was concerned because I had a previous job like that before and was only paid $5,000 a month, which I thought was
Right.
grossly underpaid.
That's not enough.
Yeah, it was grossly underpaid. So when I went to this one company, and I know it's because of my I am mind map, Jeff. I'm absolutely positive it was because my I am mind map.
Okay.
That the president of this company said, John, we need you, we want you. How much is it going to cost us? And I
Wow.
looked that dude straight in his eye and said, $10,000 a month.
Yeah.
And he said, deal. So
And you're like,
I went
damn it,
from
I should have said
totally-
20.
I should have afterward. I'm like, golly, you said it so fast. But yeah, so I went from being on my mom's couch to 8 months later having a $10,000 a month job.
Wow.
Which, but I know it's because of that inner work that I did.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
would have went in there insecure, unconfident,
Right.
and incongruent with my message and my skill set, that I would have never had the balls to ask for 10,000. But I was just so matter of fact, like, I'll do the job. It's going to cost you 10 grand,
Yeah.
and that changed my life. That
Right.
totally changed my life. And
he jumped on it just like that. You deal.
deal. I remember going in the hallway and was like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I knew everything. It was changed by then. I knew
Right.
my life had changed.
Right.
But then I started, developing that mortgage company using mind maps. I mean, that mortgage software company using mind maps, just
Okay.
getting clear and having fun with life. But then when COVID hit, years later, I decided to pivot and start writing books about this mind mapping tool that I've been using
Wow.
so
So
successfully.
you
'Cause
really, how long have you been in the mind mapping business now?
15 years.
Wow.
Yeah, 15 years, man.
My goodness.
I've been mind mapping. I got thousands and thousands of mind maps.
And how many books? You've got lots of books.
6. I got 6
books. And they're all
Yeah.
about mind mapping in some way or another.
Variations of mind mapping. Yes.
That's
and how
amazing.
to apply it.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
to apply it. I even have a mind mapping workbook that has
Right.
like 90 mind mapping exercises where, I lead with a powerful quote and some benefits and some things that people should consider about this powerful quote and a mind mapping activity on how they can actually participate and
Right.
bring that quote to life kind of
Yeah,
deal
yeah,
in their
yeah.
life kind of deal. So
Let me ask you
pretty
this.
cool.
Now, if you've done all this software development,
Mhm.
is mind mapping now, does it have an app or a computer program or a web page or is
yes,
it all
yes.
still pen and paper?
No. No, with technology
But
nowadays.
there's nothing wrong with pen and paper. There's
And pen and paper
absolutely
is what
nothing
I-
wrong with pen and paper.
Is what I like to do when I first work with my clients is just to let them know how easy it is,
Yes.
to just grab a napkin and
Yeah.
a pen and, if you
And
got something to
it
sort
works
out.
when the internet's out and if the power's out, right? It's
Exactly.
the ultimate backup. Do you have a
It-
freaking pen?
pen and paper, right? That's so funny.
Yeah.
But I'm actually for the last 6 years, I've been a partner with this one company called MindMeister,
Okay.
mindmeister.com. They're located out of Vienna, Austria, I think,
Oh,
and
wow.
they do have the best online mind mapping platform in the
Okay.
world.
Nice.
Because you can do all of the mind mapping features, but really what's really cool with what they do is that, and say for instance, I'm on a specific topic on a mind map, I
Right.
can include a YouTube video link, I can attach
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
document,
Right.
I can put images, I can do all of these certain things in there to
Mm.
really, have my mind map stand out. And now I have a library full of mind maps on book reviews. And so now
It's
instead, when I
amazing.
need to go back and look at a book, I could just go to my mind map and get a quick refresher.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is what I teach students now is to note take in college and starting to my K through 1 here, hopefully next month.
Wow.
But in college, I'm teaching students on how to note take in mind map form.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, instead of just mindlessly transcribing notes, do like I did with that big ass box and start listening for keywords and
Keywords. Right.
phrases
Right.
that the professor is saying.
Right.
Schools like Ivy League schools, by the way, they've been using mind mapping a lot for the last several years, and they're finding increased test scores and
Mm.
increased academics because they're realizing that students, when it's time to take the test, it's so much easier to close your eyes and visualize where that information is on a mind map
Wow.
versus
Right. Right.
where it is on that traditional linear note
Yeah.
kind of stuff that most of us take.
Right. Right. Right.
You
It's
know.
almost like you're visualizing a system in your brain. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I saw the potential like a gajillion years ago. I just didn't. All of the tools in the 90s were really bad.
Yeah, really bad.
They were,
Really.
and I think I was like on paper is what I was doing because
Right.
I think I had a computer, but there was a time when I didn't.
Right. It was probably as big as your house. Those computers used to be
Oh my
super
God.
big.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was a nerd for a long time. So I think my first computer was when I was like 6th grade, maybe.
Oh, nice.
Crazy, right? And
What was it? DOS or like
it was a
Windows?
Timex Sinclair 1000.
Oh,
It did
wow.
not have an operating system.
What?
No, you would turn it on and all you could do is program it in BASIC.
That was it.
That was it. There was no OS.
Wow. How time has changed.
And I
Yeah.
remember the 16 megs of RAM. No, 16K. It was 16K.
Right.
That was the add-on. It was like this brick that you plugged into the side.
Good Lord. Everything was so
K.
big back then.
Well, it was fun, the evolution. But when I was in Japan on my first assignment, I didn't have a computer. I did not have a computer. Weird.
Right. Right.
And when I got to Hawaii, I bought an Amiga 1000. You remember those?
I remember those.
Yeah.
I remember those.
I didn't get my first actual PC until like 97-ish, I think, or 95,
Wow.
96, because I wanted to play Doom.
And that's why you got it for gaming?
Yeah. Everybody was playing Doom and they're like, Doom's awesome. I can't play Doom on my Amiga. I gotta get a PC.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good for you, man.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, times have changed. Times have changed.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
So you finally
So now-
get off the couch. When did you start writing all these books?
That's just back in COVID, 2020.
Okay. Wow.
I
You've
was
written
quarantined.
6 books in 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not
6 books
even.
in 4.
Wow. 3 years more like.
Yeah, and that's again, I all I can attribute it that to is just the power of mind mapping, man.
Wow.
Mind mapping over the years have really helped me clarify thoughts, articulate the book forms, the storyline of books, what I want to include in there. I mean, it's really been that powerful for me to is the only reason why I can say that I've published so many books like that is because the creativity of mind mapping is huge, because you're
Right.
on there and you're just brainstorming things, and next thing you know, you start thinking of things you never thought of before.
Right.
You start connecting dots, like, wait a minute, that don't, and this and that and other, just because you can visually see what
Right.
you're actually thinking about,
Right.
and that's the only way I believe that I was able to, write some books, and they are pretty good books, though. Actually,
I believe you.
yeah, all 3 of them. This last 3 that I did last year were all Amazon Hot New Release List books.
Wow.
And yeah, so they are pretty good. So I'm excited about that, and more excited about, just sharing my message and trying to help people, or at least let people know there's a tool out here that can help you think and process whatever it is you're going through.
Right.
And that's, I believe that is my purpose
I love
of
it.
life, in life, is to love my life by helping people love their lives more, by showing them this awesome tool that yeah, it's relatively unknown in this country. It's
Right.
bigger in Europe,
Right. Right. Right.
parts of Asia. The guy Tony Buzan, who kind of invented the term mind mapping and the
Right.
mind mapping stuff in the 70s and 80s, he passed away in 2018.
Okay.
Tony Buzan. So I think that that kind of stagnated, his promotion of the tool. And,
Mm.
he was an English guy. So in England, it's, out there in that way. In Europe, it's more popular than it is in the States.
Okay.
So I'm excited about being the guy that
You're the guy. You're the States
blow the
guy.
whistle on it, baby.
So what is it like doing a TEDx talk? Is that like super stressful or was it fun?
It is intense. It
Right?
is super intense because
Yeah.
you get 2 months, to prep
What?
for it.
Okay.
And that's after a year and a half of submitting like 80 something applications to finally get accepted, by the way. They're not
Wow.
easy to get. And
Right.
I would like to give a big shout out to my assistant, my right hand, my partner, Miss Linda Rittenhouse, because I have to have some integrity here. It wasn't me that was submitting those applications, it was her. But
Hey,
thank you, Miss Linda.
she's
You know
doing
what I
her
mean?
job.
She was
I'm sure
doing her
she's
job
paid
great.
well.
She's awesome. She's awesome. And
Yeah.
yeah, but once we actually landed it, and it happened to be, I did the TEDx talk last year, January 4th. So
Okay.
while I'm preparing for my TEDx talk, I got my 18-year-old birthday, Thanksgiving, my birthday on the 16th, my youngest daughter's birthday on the 18th,
Wow.
Christmas party. So there was just a lot of distractions.
Yeah.
In fact, Jeff, it was so many distractions. Honest to God, my friend, I escaped from Arizona and went to Oahu for 7 days.
Good for you.
just to kind of I had to get out of my element,
Yeah.
to get
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
mind right for what I was going to do. And
Oahu will do that.
yeah, and then
Go get
being
an
on
Airbnb
stage.
on the beach.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
being on that TEDx stage, because that was the whole, I've spoke before, and
Mm.
I've went through all the Toastmasters and was president of Toastmasters. So I wasn't
Wow.
new to the speaking world per se.
Right.
But that TEDx talk and standing on that red dot
Well,
and
you
all
get
of
that.
these
You get
people.
those 18 minutes, and if you screw it up, there's no going back.
Yeah, there's no hours, and
Right.
all of that stuff. So from that aspect, it was really
Oh, my
intense.
slides are broke. Can you give
Yeah.
me 10 minutes? No.
Yeah, yeah. Right. Or that didn't come out right. Can I start again?
Right.
All that
No.
kind of stuff.
You got
Yeah,
one
so
shot. Yeah.
from that perspective, and I wish I had more opportunities to do live performances of it before. That was the
Okay. Yeah.
first true live one that I was on
Gotcha.
stage in front of people doing it,
Right. Right.
which,
Right.
you know,
Maybe in
uh,
second thought, maybe next time practice. Is that what?
yeah, yeah. Well, I was practicing, but it was,
Gotcha. Oh,
with
but with
me and
no,
my
no.
kids.
Right. 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 Right.
It wasn't on stage with lights beaming and a microphone and all of that,
Sure.
which are whole different dynamics,
That's a
You
good
know?
idea. Yeah. Like you could have another business idea there, like
Yeah.
stages to practice TEDx talks or TED
There
talks.
you go. I love that. I love that. I'll write it down, and I promise to share some cash with you if I make any because of that idea, Jeff. I
Free.
promise.
Free. That's, yeah, ideas are free.
I appreciate it.
Implementation is what takes sweat.
Is the difference. Is the difference. Spot on right there, my friend. That's for sure.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about how people can get in touch with John Diggs. JohnDiggs.com.
Yeah,
Talk about your socials.
johndiggs.com.
Yeah.
johndiggs.com for short. And specifically for your guests, I have johndiggs.com/vroom vroom.
Love it.
I created that page, which kind of gives them some insights about the I am mind map that we talked about, and give them
Perfect.
some options if they want to start going down that path of creating their own I am mind map. So that's johndiggs.com/vroom vroom for all of your listeners, but naturally johndiggs.com. Mappineerville.com, and I'm all over social with Instagram,
Right.
Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So
Not hard to find.
Yeah. What's that?
Not hard to find.
Not hard to find. And I really want to stress, to your listeners that, I'm truly here to help. That's that's really my calling, is to help. So, and that's what I'm most passionate about. So if they got questions or anything and that, about mind mapping and how they can use it for a specific thing or not, please just shoot me an email, tell me where you come from, and we'll look to, get your answers addressed so you can get back to loving life right away.
Yeah, I love it.
Thank you.
There's all kinds of, folks out there that are saying all kinds of things, but like love and life, that's, what could be better than love and life, right? You're here. You might as well love it.
I have I created a logo that I use in all of my stuff. It's a heart.
Yeah.
And it's connected to an ankh,
right.
An Egyptian ankh. So it's love for the heart and life for the ankh.
Oh, wow. I love that.
Yeah. So it's
I saw that little logo behind you. I knew what the heart was for. Okay. So the ankh. Yeah. So the ankh is for life. Ah.
Yeah, it's for life. So
it kind of reminds me of like a version of the sign. If you remember, the sign. I thought, do you love Prince? Sorry, not many people.
Prince guy.
Not many people remember the sign, so that's okay. I think you're cool.
Yeah, remember the sign? That's I miss some Purple Rain.
Yeah, I know. He was awesome.
Miss my guy.
All right, brother. Well, this has been a blast. Thank you for hanging out with me for about an hour.
Thank you so much for everything, Jeff. And I'm here for you, man. If you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. Maybe we can meet in Hawaii sometime, man, and share an umbrella drink or something.
That would be awesome.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for everything.
Have a good one. Take care.
Take care, buddy.
Thanks for taking the time to ride along with us on another episode of Vroom Vroom Veer. For podcast info and show notes, be sure to head over to vvveer.com. That's VVER.com. Man, that's fun to say. And we'll catch up with you next time here on Vroom Vroom Veer.